This story is one of the most shocking and emotionally complicated celebrity legal battles of the past decade. It involves a $15 million mansion, a dying 85-year-old disabled veteran, and one of the most famous pop stars on the planet. And now, after 5 long years, a judge has ordered a multi-million-dollar payout that has suddenly reignited public anger against Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom. Today, we are breaking down the entire case from the beginning, how it started, what really happened, and why this lawsuit refuses to die even as the man at the center of it is spending his final days in hospice. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to July 2020. At that time, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom purchased a $15 million mansion in Montecito, California. The property was owned by a veteran named Westcott. He was 80 years old, had severe physical disabilities, and was dealing with cognitive decline. Despite that, a real estate deal was made and the purchase contract was signed. But only 2 weeks later, everything changed. Westcott claimed that he had been heavily medicated following a major surgery and did not understand what he was signing. He insisted he never intended to sell the home and attempted to rescind the contract. Katy Perry's legal team rejected that immediately. From their perspective, this was a valid, binding real estate agreement. They argued that Westcott was perfectly capable of making decisions and that he simply changed his mind. From that moment, the battle officially began. The veteran argued that he had been manipulated while vulnerable. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom insisted there was no wrongdoing and demanded the sale go through. Over the next 2 years, the case evolved into a war. Westcott's family said he was confused, deteriorating, and being pushed into a legal fight he never should have been in. Perry's team said they had acted professionally, legally, and fairly. They pointed to medical experts who claimed Westcott understood the contract. The case dragged through courts, delays, appeals, expert witnesses, and endless paperwork. Meanwhile, Westcott's health continued to decline. He eventually entered hospice care, fully disabled and diagnosed with terminal illness. But the lawsuit continued anyway. In 2023, it reached a major turning point. The court officially ruled in Katy Perry's favor and confirmed that the 2020 contract was valid. The judgment meant Perry legally gained ownership of the mansion and could pursue financial damages from the Westcott family. The story went quiet for a while, until this month, when a new bombshell ruling brought the case back into the headlines. On November 26, 2025, a judge awarded Katy Perry $1.8 million in damages. The reasoning was this: because Westcott backed out of the contract, Perry lost rental income she could have earned from the mansion over the years. His estate was now responsible for compensating her, and the moment that ruling became public, the backlash was instant. Social media exploded. News outlets reignited coverage. People around the world questioned why a billionaire pop star would pursue nearly $2 million from a dying veteran whose family says he was manipulated. This wasn't just a disagreement about a house anymore. It became a global conversation about ethics, power, and what it means to fight a legal battle against someone in their final days. To understand the emotional weight of this case, you have to understand Westcott's story. He was not just a homeowner, he was a Purple Heart veteran. He served the United States, he built companies, he raised a family, and through it all, he lived a life defined by discipline and integrity. But in his final years, he struggled with Huntington's disease, neurological decline, and chronic pain. His family says the day he signed the contract, he was recovering from spine surgery, heavily sedated from pain medication, and mentally foggy. They maintain he was not aware of what he was signing and tried to reverse it as soon as the medication wore off. Katy Perry's side sees it very differently. They say Westcott was competent, alert, and fully aware. They say the contract was legitimate and they followed every law. And legally, the judge agreed. But public opinion does not run on legal technicalities. It runs on emotion, morality, and how things look on the surface. And for millions of viewers, the optics of a global superstar suing a dying man are uncomfortable at best and infuriating at worst. Perry and Bloom have stayed mostly silent throughout the process. They have never commented publicly in detail. Their team insists they acted fairly, that they simply enforced a legal agreement, and that the damages were justified because Westcott prevented them from renting or using the home for years. Critics argue a billionaire does not need rental income from a dying veteran. Supporters say contracts matter and that Perry is being unfairly villainized simply for winning a case she was legally entitled to win. Some have suggested that Perry should waive the damages and walk away. Others argue that doing so might set a dangerous precedent for future real estate disputes. Regardless, the case raises a bigger question. When does winning legally conflict with winning ethically? And do celebrities have a moral responsibility to choose compassion over legal victory when the person on the other side is deeply vulnerable? As of today, Carl Westcott remains in hospice care. His family has said they will continue fighting on his behalf as long as he is alive. Katy Perry's judgment stands, and this 5-year battle appears far from over. This case is a reminder that behind every headline, there is a human story. A veteran spending his final days in a legal war he never wanted. A celebrity couple defending a purchase they believed was lawful. A family watching a loved one fade while still being dragged through court. And a public struggling with the difference between what is legal and what is right. No matter which side you believe, one thing is certain. This will go down as one of the most controversial celebrity real estate battles in years. And with new filings still possible, this may not even be the final chapter. If more updates break, I'll cover them here. Tell me in the comments how you feel about this legal battle. Do you believe Katy Perry was justified, or do you think she crossed a line?